things first. MKE versus World War III opposes current U.S. foreign policy towards Russia and China, which puts us firmly on the path to global conflict. A third world war pitting against the U.S., against Russia and or China, is expected to feature the use of nuclear weapons, which is well understood to mean the deaths of billions of people. With regard to the Ukraine theater specifically, we could focus on the historical background of this conflict. NATO military expansion, the 2014 U.S.-backed coup in Ukraine, the shelling of the Donbass, etc. But what really matters, especially in the current risk environment, is that we end the chain of escalation before it ends us. No nuclear safety treaties remain between Russia and the U.S. Russia recently suspended its participation in the New START Treaty, mirroring the unilateral withdrawal by the U.S. from the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty, the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty, and the Open Skies Treaty. All of these actions significantly increase the risk of nuclear war. With regard to the Taiwan theater, our military and media establishment have been setting the stage for war with China over Taiwan. These steps include maneuvering U.S. forces in Japan, Australia, and the Philippines, canceling scheduled diplomatic meetings, and fostering a general anti-Chinese sentiment to prepare the U.S. public for war with this nuclear-armed nation. We have not seen any actions from our leaders towards de-escalation or the establishment of a diplomatic environment conducive to negotiations and peace. Our government has repeatedly set limits to its military aid to Ukraine and repeatedly discarded them. Since our rulers have abdicated this responsibility, we, the people, must be the adults in the room. This is why we at MKE versus World War III welcome all anti-war voices who will join us in sounding the alarm and advocating for peace in accordance with our points of unity. Now, we are a big tent organization. Our leadership includes representatives from the Milwaukee End the Wars Coalition, the Wisconsin People's Party, the Wisconsin Libertarian Party, and various other organizations. We do not believe that this is the time to gatekeep the peace movement. No other issues that we care about will ever matter again if we fail to avoid nuclear World War III. What unites us is a common belief in ending this chain of escalation before it ends us. And these are our demands. Number one, no more U.S. money or military involvement for war in Ukraine. Yes. Number two, de-escalate tensions with Russia and negotiate a ceasefire in Ukraine. Yes. No military conflict with China over Taiwan or any other issue. Yes. Lastly, re-enter nuclear non-proliferation and safety agreements. Reallocate excess Pentagon funding to our needs at home. Yes. So here's the deal, guys. This is what the establishment fears the most. This is left, right, libertarian, lefty, doesn't matter. All of us coming together, regardless of our other ideological ideas, coming together over this one most important issue. This is the last thing they want, all right? What they want us to do is divide ourselves. So let's not do that for them, okay? Here, here. So if anybody comes up to you and says, what do you think about vaccines? Or what do you think about abortion? That's a Fed. Don't engage, all right? Don't do their work for them. We are here for this one issue, and this is the only thing that matters right now. With that, I'm going to pass this off to Phil Anderson of the Libertarian Party. Thank you for coming, Phil.
All right, all right, Phil. Woo. No more war.
Here, here.
You have to strap this on.
Oh, you can't.
Don't drink it.
No World War III. No nuclear war. We all know we want to go.
Please talks now.
Please talks now. Right now.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to thank everyone for coming out. It's a very cold morning, and I know that some of you, I was just speaking to a couple people this week, have faced some serious opposition from their own groups to be even demonstrating with the Libertarian Party of Wisconsin, and I'd like to thank you for overcoming that. It's important that you understand where we're coming from, and this is going to sort of echo what James was saying. I agree with and hold in front of me the words of Frederick Douglass, and that he will unite with any person to do good and against any that would do harm. And that is our founding principle here today. But I think you should also know that, so you'd feel better about it and take this message back to those who resist your involvement in this, that the Libertarian parties have been against every single war since its inception in 1971. As a matter of fact, our founding principle is called the non-aggression principle, which says that anyone can live their life as they choose as long as they don't interfere with the rights of anyone else to live their life as they choose. And I think we generally, although we disagree on the implementation of that, agree with that premise. Our goal is to live peacefully with each other, without violence, without harm, without coercion. But what is standing against us in this? Who is our real opponent here? We're here to protest war and advocate for peace. True, but where does that come from? It comes from corruption and lies. The military cartel spends tens of billions of dollars every year to keep us separated, to keep us at each other's throat, to affect the discourse in public discussion and keep everyone separated, to promote the right-left paradigm, which I think is, I disagree with that paradigm entirely. I think the real paradigm is tyranny versus those who are oppressed. And we are clearly oppressed, and as the military cartel has control over our government and uses them to profit excessively over the war effort, we need to resist that. We need to disrupt the corruption. We need to expose the lies. We need to stand together on this issue, which above all is the most important issue of our time and of all of human history. And that is, there's no need to fight each other. There's no need to give in to the lies. There's no need to let the military cartel profit off our dollars and our blood and our children and our neighbors and our loved ones.
Here, here.
So let's stop it. Let's stop it now and
Yeah.
stay together on this issue. And if this is a coalition, well, let's continue it as a coalition of those who are willing to stand up not only to the military cartel and not only to our own government, to even those within our own parties and our own groups who won't take the step forward and say this is the most important issue of our time and of all times.
All right.
Good afternoon. You gotta hold this, right? You gotta hold this thing. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jim Carpenter. I'm the co-chair of the End Wars and Occupations issue team of the Progressive Democrats of America. But I am so proud to stand here with anybody who's anti-war, including the libertarians. What I'd like to say before I read this petition, which a lot of you have signed, appreciate that. If you haven't signed it, please sign it. I'd just like to say a little bit about a war and put it in perspective. I'm a retired economics instructor. So the purpose of an economic system is to organize the factors of production, land or natural resources, labor or people, capital and machines and infrastructure, to organize the factors of production in order to produce goods and services. Produce goods and services to meet our needs and our wants. No matter what your political philosophy is, we all agree. That's the purpose of an economy. If we can take one word in that definition of war, definition of an economy, and change it and get a definition of war. So the purpose of war is to organize the factors of production to destroy goods and services and life itself. So war is the anti-economy. It's complete insanity, and we should end war. So can I hear this? A war is collective insanity. If you agree that war is collective insanity, say it with me. War is collective insanity. War is collective insanity. And nuclear war is supreme collective insanity. Yeah. Nuclear war is supreme collective insanity. And so that's what we're here, to avoid nuclear war and so that the human race can continue. And so we came in together and we wrote a petition, and it captures a lot of these ideas. A lot of you have already signed it. It's going to the members of Congress. In regards to the war in Ukraine, we demand that our government call for peace talks now, a mutual ceasefire, and a freeze on weapons shipments that escalate and prolong the war. We cannot control the actions of the Russian or Ukrainian governments, but we can influence our own government if we organize and mobilize to contact the members of Congress. This war is a disaster for the people of Ukraine and Russia, and a terrible threat to us all, increasing the danger of more death and destruction, economic hardship, hunger, climate degradation, a protracted war, or worse, a nuclear confrontation between the two most heavily armed nuclear nations in the world, the United States and Russia. We need a negotiated settlement. We need diplomacy. We need the White House and Congress to come to their senses and stop fueling this proxy war between the U.S. and Russia with billions of dollars in weapons. We also need to avoid a war with China over Taiwan or any other issue. If humanity is to survive, let alone flourish, war as a means for resolving disputes must be rejected by all parties now. Our domestic needs are urgent. Every dollar we spend on weapons, ammunition, missiles, and military training for conflicts in foreign lands is a dollar stolen from our communities at home. We are asking the public to join us as we seek to end the war in Ukraine and avoid a war with China. We are asking everyone to contact their members of Congress, urging them to ask President Biden to start peace negotiations now and avoid a new Cold War with China. Diplomacy, not escalation. Diplomacy, not escalation. Diplomacy, not escalation. Avoid World War III and nuclear annihilation. The Capitol switchboard, which we should all be calling, is 202-224-3121. Call your members of Congress. Tell them negotiations now. 202-224-3121. Thank you.
Well, and we also got another guy doing the video. So.
Okay.
He's working with James.
Can you get your gloves back?
Thank you, everybody. Is that on? Okay, good. I don't hear very well either anymore. Thank you all for being here. My name is Mike Bernhard. I'm a member of the Wisconsin People's Party, and this is just exactly what we want. Is left. We're not left. We're not right. We're at the bottom, and goddamn it, we're headed for the top. You know, and we want anybody that can to come along. We don't want to get Congress to change their mind. We want to change Congress. Yes. And on the last note, specifically on war, I spent 6 years in the Marine Corps, did a combat tour in Vietnam, and got to see the fucking pictures of the kids I helped kill. For Democrats and Republicans. They switched right over and didn't even miss a beat. No war. No war. No war. No war. Thank you.
All right, everybody, we're going to roll on out. We're going to start marching over to Tammy Baldwin's office first. Continue marching down Wisconsin Avenue to Gwen Moore's. Finish off at the Federal Building with Ron Johnson. March on back here. All right, so let's get going to Baldwin's. That's only a few blocks away. Let's go ahead and line up right over here, and we'll get going.
So this is my technology here. I think it works pretty well. I mean, okay, I can figure that's not too controversial, right? And then I have the other side. I got the controversial side.
I like sort of capitalizing on Max Blumenthal's speech.
Oh, cool.
Our enemy is not Russia. Our enemy is not China. Our enemy is you, the corporate media.
Right.
The oligarchy you represent.
Max is my guy, so.
Cool. Well, you know, yeah, Ann loves